Rogue Tier, we still winning. Magic Cardo, we extending. Dark Law, he still contending. Sunrise, your lights in.
Yugi peoples, welcome to the deck profile for my Preda Hero deck. I played this at the Houston Regional. I went X2-1. Definitely that draw, like I could have definitely had won that match. If y'all watched the vlog, y'all heard what happened, what I did, you know, not realizing or not fully reading my cards as Yugi players do, and not realizing that I cannot chain to my own Super Poly. So yeah, that was pretty bad. That was actually like, I was undefeated up until that point, and then that was a draw right there. And then my first loss was to Branded Despia, which I played really bad. I don't know, I acted like I didn't want to win that game. I summoned like the Predaplant Trip for some reason when I should have summoned Draco's Statelia, and I also didn't set my crossout designator. So when I went Ash on him, he chained crossout designator, and I was holding crossout in my hand. I was like, oh, I guess I should have set this. But yeah, so that was another one. And then I don't know, like another thing, you might wonder why I don't have my special sleeves on here. In the middle of the tournament, this dude tried to get me like a game loss. I guess he said he's like a judge, and I had one card that I ended up having to take out of my extra deck because my sleeves got messed up and I didn't bring extra sleeves with me. And so, you know, he called the judge over and stuff, and they eventually like gave me a PE minor or whatever, and I had to unsleeve my entire side deck. So after that round, I had to go try to hurry up and like get some sleeves, re-sleeve my deck and everything and stuff. And I don't know, it was just like, I guess like even like the things that people will do to try to get a win at a regional is like crazy. So yeah, that was, I don't know, like all the other regionals and stuff have been like, the people have been pretty cool. This time, like there was some pretty, I don't know, there was some pretty scummy people up here today, man. I guess it's like the last regional before nationals, and these people are desperate to get their invite, and they'll do whatever they can to get it. So, but I mean, if that's the way you got to earn your invite, are you really earning your invite, you know? I don't know. But this is my deck profile. I had a lot of fun playing this deck. It was actually definitely surprising to my opponents, especially like when you go with Hero Lives and special summon your Shadow Mist and go search for Mass Change 2 and then start summoning Predaplant monsters, and then they're like, oh shit. So, you know, that Mass Change 2 came in clutch so many times, man, because, you know, they want to try to hit your Scorpio, they want to try to hit your Cobra, and you just Mass Change to it. And Effect Veiler and Effect Veiler, Imperm, you know, those other cards that they have to be on the field in order for them to negate. It was just awesome. So yeah, we go ahead and jump into the deck profile here. My Elemental Hero engine is super small. It's just one Stratos, one Shadow Mist. The Stratos was basically the search Destiny Hero Plasma. Shadow Mist in turn is kind of like the same thing. Sometimes I have to search Plasma with him, and then other times I summon him off of a Hero Lives in order to get that Mass Change or Mass Change 2, depending on what my hand is. I only needed one of each. I played, well, you'll see the rest of the stuff that I played, but you know, they both did exactly what I expected them to do for the tournament. You know, the ratio was fine. There was never a time where it's just like, dang, I wish I didn't draw this one, or I wish I had drawn this one, because they're pretty searchable inside of this deck. So there's those two. And then my Destiny Hero package, of course, 2 Mally Boy, 1 Denier, 1 CSL Plasma Center, but but yeah, so basically I wanted the deck to be Fusion Destiny Turbo, and with the Fusion Destiny I wanted to bring out DPE Plasma, and I figured that against most decks that would be enough to win the game, and I was exactly correct. Him and DPE just put in work the entire day. There was I can't remember a time where I actually drew it and it was like a brick, mostly because the Predaplant engine, you know, I'm able to get multiple monsters out on the board, and I'm able to search Fusion Destiny, so I'm able to get Denier and Mally Boy, and you know, there was just never a time where I didn't have the monsters in order to be able to special summon him. So yeah, it was surprising that a lot of people didn't realize, like as I did the Predaplant stuff and I would go to special summon Plasma, like they would be like, oh, didn't you already normal summon? Yeah, like I did, but he's a special summon. So yeah, that was pretty good most of the day, like whenever I did it. So that's my Destiny Hero engine. Then my Predaplant engine, of course, 3 Scorpio, because you gotta have him. Then 2 Chlamydia. Like I had to learn out how good this card was throughout the day, because like I didn't play test with this deck or anything. I kind of put it together like the night before, like I was ready to go to sleep so I could try to get like at least 2 hours of sleep, and I went to the tournament and stuff. I didn't play, but you know, I went up there to try to get the cards and stuff that I needed in order to finish the deck. And yeah, I was up pretty late, and then I came home, threw the deck together, took a little bit of sleep, and went to go meet them at like 2 o'clock in the morning for the tournament. So like I didn't know, like I learned what these cards did as a tournament with 2 blips. And yeah, this card was really good, discarding it, especially like when I got the discarded off of Mass Change 2, or like as I started using the fusion monster that they had in order to like search for him and do stuff with him. And then of course 1 Cobra, because that's the card that searches my fusion destiny. And then this card, Boofalipalaba, but whatever you say his name, this card was really, really good. There were multiple times throughout the tournament where it was like having like multiple polymerizations was just really, really good. Like there was a game where I made DPE, and then the next turn I was able to also make Dangerous and able to use that to like do some other stuff. And then there was another game where I was able to DPE and Dystopia. Like I don't know, it was really, really good having that polymerization every single turn. I wouldn't change this a little bit. I wish maybe, I don't know, like I never really drew this too much. I probably could have just played 1. Like I don't know, I didn't really see the need for 2 of them. This one, like I was trying to run 3, I couldn't quite fit it in. And as I was putting the deck together, I was like, I don't have too many cards to discard anyway, so maybe it won't be as good as I think it is. But then I realized, oh, this Scorpio, I need to be constantly discarding and stuff for it. So maybe switch out 1 blips for a 3rd blip for, and just run Chlamydia. Like, I don't know. So that's the Predaplant engine. It was pretty good, bringing out what is his name, Predaplant Draco Spapelia, bringing out like the other one, the Trip. Yeah, it was pretty good, like especially like Trip against like Soursoul, because it's like you have DPE and Plasma out there, and you know you're forced to use your DPE effect sometimes on the token, or on one of their, what is that thing called, one of their Tenye monsters, so that they can't like Vashuda you. And then it's like they could go Long Yun into Baron, and you could just negate it with Trip. So yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. So yeah, that's the Predaplant engine off in there. It's pretty much about the same size as the Hero engine. And then over here we have my Hand Trap engine, 2 Nibiru, 2 Ash, 2 Veiler, and then I also ran the 2, oh shoot, I forgot that in the Predaplant engine. But there are also 2 Imperms. I ran 2 of all the important hand traps because I wanted to have them if I needed them, and I also wanted to be able to cross them out when I needed to. So I ran those, and I did run the Predaplanting inside of my with the Predaplant engine. This card, I don't know, it was okay. I didn't really use it too much. I did pop like a couple cards with it and stuff, not too many, but yeah, it was good. It was definitely needed at sometimes, especially when your opponent knows you have a searchable out to some of their stuff. So this is my Hand Trap engine. I don't think I ever had any problems with it. It was perfect. I was perfectly fine with the ratio, and I probably wouldn't change that too much. So yeah, that's that. And my spells, 3 Pot of Prosperity for consistency. Like this, I was able to open up like Hero Lives, Instant Fusion, like multiple times and stuff. Prosperity is just really good, and you can easily do 6, you know, with this deck, because you're trying to set up, trying to get to that cross out designator, trying to get to whatever you can, you know, to make sure that your combo goes off. That, and then the 3 Predaplant. This card was really good. Like, just whenever you draw it with a Predaplant, you know, you're going full combo on them. When I first read the card, I thought it said I cannot special summon monsters At first I thought it said you cannot special summon monsters that cannot special summon monsters except for fusion monsters for the rest of the turn, but it says fusion monsters from your extra deck from the rest of the turn. Because at first, you know, my opponent tried to tell me that I couldn't special summon plasma, but no, yeah, so don't let them trip you up on that. It definitely says you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except for fusion monsters, so we're not worried about that. DPE is a fusion monster. Dark Law is a fusion monster, so there was never any issues with that. Of course, Preda Hero lives. This card was clutch all day, especially when I added it off of Prosperity. Like, you know, a lot of people say it's the biggest ash bait in the game, and yeah, it did get ash quite a few times. We have the star of the deck, 2 Fusion Destiny. Like, being able to search this card was just amazing all day. This is basically like, oh, it's Fusion Destiny Turbo, man. It was awesome. Like, you know, this is probably like one of the best spell cards in all of our arsenal of hero cards, and you know, I just wanted to be able to search it. I wanted to be able to take advantage of DPE. I wanted to be able to take care of plasma, mostly because like Mystic Mine I figured was going to be a lot up there, and it was. I played against multiple decks with Mystic Mine thrown off in there, and DPE just puts in work against that card. It's just like, oh, your final desperation shot, you know, we killed that with DPE when I was able to do it. So yeah, 2 crossout designators because I wanted to make sure that my combo went off. I wanted to make sure I got out DPE plasma, and I felt like once that happened that I was pretty much just winning the game from there. So, you know, 2 crossout designators to make sure that stuff goes off. 1 mass change, 1 mass change 2. This card was clutch all day. Like, man, like every time they tried to negate one of my Predaplant monsters, it seemed like I always had it. And there were times where I was able to discard the blip off of that thing, and like just being able to search this card with a hero lives and Shadow Mist and Prosperity, like it was awesome. Like, I dodged so many imperms and effect veilers and just like other effects, and it was just clutch all day. Like, people were not expecting that inside with the Predaplant engine, so it was really good. Super Poly, of course, because you can search it inside of this deck, and you know, I did search it a couple times. Like, I think the only matchup it really came in handy was against the Predaplant. I played against another Predaplant branded deck, but that's the deck that I tied against. And yeah, this card, Instant Fusion, this card was amazing. Instant combo, like so good. And then 1 Call by the Grave to go with my crossout designators. This card saved me more than once. You know, that's that one of, but you get the odd off of Prosperity sometimes. So, you know, it's kind of not a one of when you running that card. Like, I wouldn't change anything probably too much out of this engine. I really wish I could fit in a 2nd mass change too, just for those times where I can't get to a hero lives in order to search for it. But like, I feel like everything ran pretty good together. There was one time where I drew 2 of these together and didn't have a Predaplant to go with it, but like that was few and far in between. Everything else was really, really good. I think I ended up being 42 cards, so maybe actually, like, I don't know, maybe cut 1 crossout designator or something like that. But other than that, like, it was really, really good. I had no problems with it. I swear I played this like every single turn. Like, it was just amazing making sure that you get off Fusion Destiny every single time was just amazing. So yeah, those are the spells for the deck. Very, very solid. Very, very solid. In my extra deck, of course, the star of the show, DPE. There was Darkwing Duck. Let's Get Dangerous. So yeah, there were a couple of times where I brought him out because I needed to be able to do some other things. And like I said, when you have the Bufalifica, you're not concerned about not being able to bring out DPE once you bring out Dangerous, because even though you're not running Poly, like basically he's like searchable Poly too, so it's pretty good. Dystopia, I used this card a couple of times, you know. Of course, Double Dark Law this card, depending on like what kind of deck my opponent was playing, like if they seemed like one of those serious high rarity players, I would bring out the common one just to make them, you know, feel some type of way about it. But so we got 2 Dark Law here, 1 Mass Hero Blast. I did use this one time during the tournament and stuff, so it's pretty good. 2 Dracos, Papelia. Probably only needed 1 of these just because I was running Plasma, so I didn't really do it too much. But, you know, I guess having it off inside of there was, you know, the best thing. 1 Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. This card almost saved me in the branded Despia matchup, but yeah, I don't know. It's just like he had too much going on at that time. I had already made too many play mistakes, and yeah, I just couldn't bounce back from that. Trip, this card was amazing against, like, you know, the decks that it works good against. Like, I don't know, there were so many times where my board was like Dark Law, DPE, and Trip, and yeah, it was just good. And yeah, not too much to say about this. The one game that I should have brought this out, I think I did end up losing. I ended up going into Starving Venom Dragon instead when I should have went into this guy, and I probably would have not have lost that game and had to go into the game 3. So yeah, this card is actually like much better than what I thought it was in certain situations, and he was able to clear that off, and he was able to clear off the Starving Venom and then, you know, do some other stuff. And then if I had this guy, I would have been able to bring him back and, like, you know, do my stuff. So, you know, next time I'm gonna have to actually, like, you know, when you're playing a new deck, you kind of forget about the utility of some of the other cards that are off inside of there, and I actually like didn't even like completely know everything this card was capable of. So I will definitely, if I continue to run this deck, which I probably might, at least at like 1 locals, just to give it a try, just to, you know, actually remember that this card is off inside of my extra deck and it does stuff. And then of course the star of the Predaplant engine, this card right here, instant fusion, chlamydia target, and yeah, he was just amazing. I didn't realize until about halfway into the tournament that he doesn't have to tribute himself, that he can tribute any Predaplant monster. And yeah, so if I had known that at the beginning of the day, you know, maybe I don't know if I would have won a couple of the games that I lost, but it definitely would have helped me like win a whole lot easier and better some of the games that I did come close to winning, or games that I lost and had to go to like a game 3. So yeah, so actually, like, I actually need to read my Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And then 1 Millennium Eyes Restrict. I didn't use this the entire tournament. Like, I don't know, it was there in case I needed it. I don't think there was ever a time where I thought about bringing it out, but you know, it's there in case you need it. And those would be my fusion monsters. And then my 2 link monsters, the Dark Charmer and Extra Hero Cross Crusader. You know, as a hero player, you just got to keep in mind the restrictions with Cross Crusader. So even like when you're playing a deck and you're planning out your turn, you just got to be kind of careful with that. Now, one thing I will say is that this card right here definitely put in a lot of work. It's definitely really good, especially like on your follow-up turn where, you know, you activated Fusion Destiny and you didn't need to use Cross Crusader. I mean, you didn't have to use Denier and Mally Boy's effect, and you were just able to, you know, use the Predaplant engine and DPE and stuff. And for a follow-up turn, like, there were a couple of times where I wish that I had ran Celine and Access Code Talker off in there. Yeah, because it would have been a whole lot better. So yeah, I definitely would probably rework the extra deck a little bit. Maybe take out the Millennium Eyes Restrict and maybe take out the Predaplant Dracos Papelia. That way I could fit in Celine and Access Code Talker, because it would have been really good for me to be able to just like straight up OTK my opponents like that sometimes. But I'd have to read like Celine exactly, because I'm not sure if it has to be like I think it has to be a spellcaster with a level, which, you know, we do have a fake Veiler, but it just kind of depends. I'm gonna have to read it. But there were just like multiple times where I wish that I could have like used the Gloom in order to use Dark to link climb. So yeah, that's it right there. and that's my extra deck. Now for my side deck, it's very, very standard. I played 2 Drolling Lockbirds. I don't think this card came in too many times. It was also kind of a cross-out designator target, but it never really came up. I got Drolling Lockbird one time, and I had already searched for Fusion Destiny at this point, so it didn't even matter. So that card, but of course it was often there for Flunder, which I think that was the only like meta deck that I didn't really play. I didn't play against Flunder all day today, so but Plasma would have put a stop to that anyway. So that was Drolling Lockbird. Of course, 3 Dark Rulers. This card's really, really good. It just straight up negates everything. Since I'm not playing an OTK build, I don't mind that I can't do any damage that turn. I'll just, set up my DPE Plasma for the next turn on a follow-up, and Dark Ruler was definitely really good. A lot of matchups. 3 Twin Twisters, because I was expecting a lot of Mystic Mine, a lot of Eldritch, and I did. Actually played against Mystic Mine, Eldritch like twice in a row. I don't know if it was Mystic Mine, Eldritch, but I played against 3 Mystic Mine decks total, or at least 3 decks with Mystic Mine thrown off inside them, so this card was pretty good. I should have, the Predaplant branded deck that I played against, I should have won. I had this and I had Super Poly, and he flipped up Anti-Spell, and my mind immediately went to Chain Super Poly, and then I was like, oh, Chain Twin Twister too, and I was like, oh no, you can't chain to your own Super Poly. So yeah, that caused that draw right there. Because I had Fusion Destiny and Crossout. Like, my hand, I don't know. Like, even though I think, yeah, I should have won. I could have won that game because I had Dystopia in my extra deck. 3 Evenly Match. This card was clutch all day. I think I drew it both games against the Eldritch that I played against Eldritch, and, it's just a blowout card against them. This card is amazing. And because I was running Crossout Designator and people saw my inboard a lot of times and stuff, after that game, I actually a lot of times when I was siding, I would leave in 1 Evenly Matched and 1 Dark Ruler because I figured they might side those in against me, and I was able to cross them out sometimes. I did cross out 1 Dark Ruler no more, so that was pretty nice. Didn't get a chance to cross out Evenly Matched. Nobody evenly matched me, so that didn't happen. 3D barriers. The game that I lost, my first loss, the Branded Despia, it was horrible. I think actually yeah, I said I had ashed him and I forgot, but it wasn't ash. He went Branded Fusion and I flipped up D barrier, and he chained Crossout, and he had crossed out the D barrier, and I had Crossout in my hand. I was like, no, I should have set this Crossout, but I was doing the same thing that he was doing. I feel like Crossout Designator is just a really, really powerful card in a format where you know exactly what your opponent is trying to side in order to beat you. And even though a lot of people don't want to draw Crossout going second, if Crossout is going to cross out stuff like this that just completely stops my turn, then I would rather run Crossout and have a chance to play the game. So yeah, there was actually one time where I had to do that. I did get to cross out a D barrier and it won me the game. And when I played against that Branded Despia deck, game 2, when he crossed out my D barrier, it won him the game. So I highly recommend Crossout in Heroes. The card is just so good. Then 1 Red Reboot. I did get to activate this once today. Won the game shortly after that, and it was easy. And that is the side deck. That is my Preda Hero deck. If people want to take this, build on it, let me know the changes you make. Let me know if you have success with it. It was a lot of fun playing the deck, man. It was just amazing. Y'all know I like to be innovative. I like to try to mix things, try to see what I can do to, make Heroes a little less predictable. And this was definitely I'm trying to really we know Nationals is coming up, and it's I want to avoid playing a regular hero deck, but then at the same time playing a regular hero deck might be best. But I'm trying to decide that if I didn't play regular heroes, would I play Branded Hero or would I play Preda Hero? Because both of the decks are fusion decks. They blend pretty well with the hero deck. The best thing about this version is basically you're getting Fusion Destiny and you're bringing out DPE Plasma every single game, and It's really, really, really powerful. Say like the only thing that like really hurts the deck is that like not being able to use Cross Crusader every time kind of hurts. It makes you kind of dependent on Hero Lives in order to get Plasma, or to draw the Shadow Mist and be able to discard him with Scorpio in order to go get the Plasma. Like there are multiple ways to get to it, and like rethinking the deck, I wish maybe I could fit in like D-Force and what's the other card, Break the Destiny, the trap card, so that I, you know, maybe I could use that as an alternative way to search Plasma. You know, there's definitely room for improvement in the deck. Like it was very, very effective. Predaplanting is a hell of a good card. The Brofalika, the Pendulum Monster, that's the first time I've ever really used a Pendulum Monster before, even though I wasn't using it for Pendulum Summoning, but like that card was really good. I think there was one game where my opponent, he did something and he was trying to force out my DPE. I had DPE and Plasma on board, and he was trying to force out my DPE effect, thinking that I was going to have to destroy my DPE and my Plasma if I wanted my DPE to be able to come back next turn or something like that, so that he could I don't know, it was a weird scenario where I had to pop the Pendulum Monster and the Bufalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifalifaliffalifaliffaliffaliffaliffaliffaliffaliffaliffaliffaliff to have like DPE over here, and then like plasma over here in the center, and then both of the Predaplant monster was like way over here in the corner in my far zone. And like I guess he just didn't realize it was there, and so when I went chain DPE, popped it in the Predaplant link pendulum monster, he was like, oh dang, yeah. It was like, yeah, so that was pretty nice. But appreciate everybody for watching. I hope y'all liked it. Like y'all know, I like to do like crazy innovative stuff with heroes. I like to surprise my opponents when I go up there, because you know, like running a YouTube channel, it's kind of like people know what I'm running when I sit down at the table. They see the hero gear, they know that I'm playing hero, but then I also want them to kind of second guess and be like, oh, this is Timothy motherfucking Scott that I'm playing against, and this ain't gonna be no normal hero deck. And yeah, that's pretty much what I aim for. You know, a lot of people were asking me about the deck. A lot of people were interested in the things that I was doing, and you know, just like how can they do it too. So it was a lot of fun. I probably should have went X2. I shouldn't have had that draw, but then you know, if I didn't have the draw, who knows what my matchups would have ended up being. It was a lot of fun playing the deck, and that was the last regional before national, so now it's time to start preparing. Like I always say, I'm gonna start preparing for it, but then I'll end up coming up with some crazy idea. We might actually try to change this deck up a little bit and maybe play it at the locals this week and see if we can make some improvements on it, see if this could also actually be a possible contender for nationals. So appreciate everybody for watching, and I will catch y'all on the next video.
Stay alive.